The sports generals are on patrol. Jason will be in later. I think he's just getting set up at the moment. But it is Thursday and it is noon. So today is the sports generals. Just to clear things up, in case there's a little bit of confusion, every Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, that's So What's the Catch? We just posted the latest episode of So What's the Catch, actually, on the So What's the Catch YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you go do that and watch the latest episode. Every Thursday, approximately from noon to 1, sometimes we do 12:30 to 1:30, but it's usually in the ballpark of 12 to 1:30. That's when we do the sports channels with Jason and I. So What's the Catch happens on Wednesday from 2 to 4 with me, Brian, James, and the wild card Turk Berserk. And if you watch So What's the Catch, you know why we call him the wild card. And then every Thursday from approximately noon to 1:30, somewhere in that ballpark, that's the sports generals with Jason and myself. Get it? Got it? Good. So, as I said, Jason is just getting set up. So, hopefully he will be here shortly. But the NBA draft is in a few short hours. Trust me, we will get to the Golden State Warriors winning the championship. But let me say this first. Like I just said, the NBA draft is tonight. If the Cavaliers get on the clock and Ojai Abaji is still available, they shouldn't even waste time. Just write Ojai Abaji, guard, Kansas, University of Kansas, or Kansas University, however they say it, and turn in the card. Have a nice day. I think Ojai Abaji would be the perfect guy for the Cavaliers to draft at 14. I know Lauri Markkanen needs to go. He cannot be on this team next season, which means we will have a gaping hole at the small forward position. So you could address that with the 14th pick. But let me counter with this. Yes, Isaac Okoro was great defensively. I wouldn't say he was great defensively. He was very good defensively. But was his game really there offensively? I would say no, it was not. And the problem I kept seeing throughout the season is that too often Darius Garland was basically having to do everything. Like he was the one having to score 30 plus points in a game. He was the one having to call out the play. He was the one having to pass it to everybody so that they could get a shot. Because I didn't really see anybody else in the starting lineup that could get their own shot. So that's a lot of pressure to put on Darius. And I get it. He turned into a NBA All-Star this season. Or he made it to the All-Star game. But one, I think that's partially because the All-Star game was here in Cleveland. And two, he wasn't named a starter. He was named an All-Star reserve. Not that that necessarily is a bad thing, because it means coaches around the league took notice of you. I get it. But just because you get to one All-Star game doesn't mean you're now a star player. And I believe Jason is now set up. Let's bring him in.
Happy draft day.
All right. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to see this draft today. Wonder what they're going to do, man.
That's exactly what I was just talking about. So, if I am I was just talking about this. If I am the Cleveland Cavaliers, if Ojai Abaji is still there when we're on the clock at number 14, I'm not wasting any time. On the card, I'm writing 14th pick, Ojai Abaji, guard out of Kansas. Turn in the card. Have a nice day. There you go.
Time to party. Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, my biggest thing is too often last season, Darius Garland was having to do a lot for the Cavs. Like, one, he was trying to get his own offense, you know, score 20 plus points in a game because that's what he usually did. Two, we didn't really have anybody, excuse me, else in the starting lineup that could get their own shot. Like, it felt like Darius always needed to set the rest of the guys up offensively.
Right.
Whereas that was a lot to put on Garland. So if you draft Ojai Abaji, he's somebody that I think would be an excellent complementary player to Darius Garland in the backcourt. But also, he takes some of the pressure that I was just talking about off of Garland. Because I watched what he did throughout March Madness up until Kansas won the championship. It seemed like Abaji was able to find his own shot. He didn't need, like, his point guard to set him up. Like, if he got the ball, he could do something with it.
But let me ask you this question, though. Would you use this as a primed opportunity to, let's say, trade the pick versus take? I know how big you are on these draft picks, but use it as a trade bait to try to lure in a proven small forward. Because, again, we talked about this quite a few times this year. I think our biggest need is a small forward, someone that can score as well as distribute the ball. Do we use this as an opportunity to fill that need, or do you want to still just trust the board, stay from within, stay packed, and build this kid?
So it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because let me go on Twitter. I just saw something about this. Here it is. I actually just saw a tweet from Chris Fedor. The Cavs have had conversations with the San Antonio Spurs about DeJounte Murray going back to February at the trade deadline, when they also inquired about Derek White. So I don't know. Maybe we pull off a trade with San Antonio and get DeJounte Murray. That would fix the shooting guard problem. But
yeah, the shooting guard, though. I think we're good at shooting guard. I think we need a small forward more than anything.
Sorry about that. I think I just have like a frog in my throat or something. Jeez. I do not have COVID. I promise. No COVID.
Well, we're at least 6 feet away, so we should be good.
Yeah. I think I just have a little bit of a tickle in my throat. But I'll persevere. Don't worry. The show must go on, as they say.
Show must go on.
Anyway, so yeah, I agree. Lauri Markkanen cannot be back as the starting small forward. No way. That was a horrible idea right from the start, because you saw throughout the season, teams were like, oh, you're going to play this 3 big man lineup? Guess what? We're not going to match up with you. We're going to play our, I guess, quote unquote, normal small forward and expose the mismatch. You know, it worked. Like, that lineup worked, for example, when we played Milwaukee, because they did, because of Giannis and all that. But that lineup didn't usually work because, again, that's just not the way the rest of the league is. Look at what Golden State did on their way to winning their 4th championship in 8 years. They kept consistently doing small ball.
Some would also say, though, we were bit by the injury bug a lot. and it was really an injury bug infestation cut towards the end of the season because we couldn't stay healthy. And had we had our nucleus on the court at that time, things might have looked different. Who knows? But yeah, it do seem like that experiment did fail, especially when we counted on marketing to kind of be that big man that was left on the court, and he was getting bullied around, and he just seemed like he was lost a lot. So, you know, hey man, it's good to be a Cavalier fan because we still have Sexton, we still have our nucleus. Yeah,
Please get rid
but we
of
still have them.
Sexton. Please
If
get
that's going
rid
to
of
happen,
him.
today's the day.
Got it. Please get rid of Colin Sexton. There is no place for him on this team. There isn't. I know you're like one of the biggest Colin Sexton fans I know.
No. I just know he got talent, though.
Okay, early on when we were doing the show, I thought you were a huge Colin Sexton fan.
Until he cut the rat tail, I was not a fan of his. And I made that perfectly clear.
Right.
But he got talent, though. But honestly, scoring, if you're a scorer, you're a scorer. And in the NBA, that's what this league is about now. It's about putting the ball in the bucket. And, despite his shortcomings and him seeming like he just want to hog the ball and it's all about him and, his brand, he could score the bucket at the end of the day. And he could get his shots off pretty easily. So I think the league has put a premium on them type of guys. And the fact that we have one, he's just been injured, albeit, but we have one of those guys. I see is worth at least seeing how it works with the core of what we have.
I mean, if Sexton were willing to come off the bench, I'm okay with that. But I don't want him back in the starting lineup with Darius Garland. We've seen enough of it to know that just doesn't work. They don't play well together. They're almost like oil and water. They just something just it almost works, but not quite.
I agree.
And I think it's mostly because of what you were saying. And I've told you, I've compared. I know this comparison is absolutely crazy, but I'm going to stand by it. I viewed Colin Sexton as our version of the Houston Rockets version of James Harden, where he would just stand and dribble, and the rest of the guys are like, well, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I see that. I just say, let's give it a chance. We technically haven't seen all of the pieces together, so I would just say let's just at least see how it's hitting, and if it's not hitting good, then let's make a move.
I understand why you're saying we should go after small forward because, again, Lowry marketing needs to be off this team. That was a terrible trade right from the start. But I was saying this before you came on. I like Isaac Okoro defensively. I think he's a very good defender. I don't know if I would put him in the great defender category yet. But his offensive game is just not where it needs to be.
Not there.
And and I get it. He was not meant to be the starting shooting guard. I understand that. It was originally supposed to be Sexton, and they were going to see if they can make Sexton and Garland work before, Sexton got injured in that November game against the Knicks and was lost for the season. But we saw it time and time again. Okoro was not reliable. Like when I went to the first matchup of the season between the Cavaliers and Bulls with my friend C-Boss, his actual name is Chris, but on here I'm going to call him C-Boss because that's like his YouTube name or whatever you call it now these days. I don't know, avatar, whatever. I did a whole video like, hey, are we going to get 10 points from Isaac Okoro? Because I think he was stuck at 9 points or something. And I'm like, oh, are we actually going to see Isaac Okoro score double-digit points? So I thought I would have some fun and shoot a video about it. It never ended up happening. But oh wow,
he came along though, man. His offensive production was terrible at the beginning of the season, and we were on the same page with that. He did start to find a rhythm close towards the end of the season. Some say that he's a slow developer, a late bloomer. I really wasn't that big on him at all. And I was thinking we probably should make a deal, including him in a package, but he started to come along. He hit 13 and 14 points a few times since the single digits he was stuck on. But his defensive prowl was something he was big on, something that the upper management in the cast was big on. And he started to come along, but you can see he is a late bloomer. Now, will he take that leaps and bounds step next year? That's left to be seen. But I got to say, regardless what moves me today, I like the way our team is positioned because it's the whole anticipation. You know what I mean? Like we got the pieces everywhere we need, except for that small forward. But we got the tools to make those moves.
Right. And there could be a certain small forward who currently plays with the Los Angeles Lakers coming back to Cleveland. There's some speculation. There's some speculation that he could be coming back.
That would be interesting, to say the least, because he fills that hole, he fills that void, and he fills that void for his marketing campaign. So it seemed like it'd be a win-win for both parties. Hey,
if it does happen, then some of the moves that he did at the All-Star game would actually make sense. Like, once it was announced that James Harden wasn't going to play, why do you think Jared Allen was added to the All-Star Team LeBron? One, because the game was in Cleveland, so they won more than just Darius Garland. But two, I bet you it's because LeBron was like, I want to see how I play with him and Darius. Like, could we make this work?
Exactly.
That's 100% why LeBron drafted Darius Garland when they did the All-Star draft in the first place. He can deny it all he wants, but that was a major reason.
He's the most calculated man in the free world, okay? So anybody that he chose on his team, there was a reason. There was a reason he took all the Cavalier players. There was a reason he took Steph Curry on his team. It's a reason for every single calculated move that LeBron makes. And to say that he didn't have the Cavs on his team in Cleveland when he was leaking these I might come home reports and all of that stuff made sense. And he wanted to see how he played with those kids. He wanted to see how the fans would view it, how the camera angles. It's always calculated. So, yes, he did these for a reason.
Yeah. I want to focus on something you just said, though. You think LeBron is the most calculated?
Absolutely. Yes.
More calculated than, like, when Brady announced his retirement, you don't think that would you say that was a calculated move by Brady?
It was a calculated move by Brady, but without equivocation, LeBron James is more calculated than Tom Brady. Tom Brady, if you recall, when he first came to Tampa Bay, and they had those practices, during the shutdown, and they were caught on film practicing or whatever, I'm willing to bet that LeBron James would never have got caught on film because he would have been aware, hey, you know what? It's a shutdown. It's probably not a good look that we be caught. So let's go into a back alley. Let's go like underground and get our practice.
Looks like Jason's screen froze. But I think what he was trying to say, if I'm hearing him right, and we'll see if we can get these technical issues fixed, but based on what he was saying, it sounds like he was saying, okay, there you are. Your screen was frozen for a bit.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, did you hear the part of me saying that if it was LeBron James that was caught on film, how he would have handled it?
Like you said, he would have taken it to a back alley.
Yes. Yeah. So he wouldn't have been caught on film. He has the awareness to understand it's probably not a good look. And he's always thinking 5 steps ahead versus Tom Brady, who is always thinking 3 steps ahead. And it's not a knock, but it's just when we're talking about the best of the best when it comes to awareness and calculations, by far it's LeBron James.
Interesting. I don't know. That's not the answer I was expecting, but I don't know. I've always thought of Tom Brady as being the most calculated, but I can see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tom Brady, again, we're talking about the best of the best, right? So those two are in the top 3 ever of calculations, rather. But yeah, it's all about, something that LeBron had to deal with was he had to deal with this stuff when he was a kid, right? And over time, he gets better at what he does. But he always was aware when he was at St. Vincent St. Mary. That's just something he's been thrown into the fire at an early age. And all that did was help craft his awareness and his calculation tactics more. But yeah, that guy, man, he knows what he's doing. He knows that if I'm going into an all-star game and I have my brand of tequila with me, I'm probably going to put it right here on the right-hand side so the camera can get it. And they're going to be like, hey, what's in that poncho? He does things like that to get you thinking I never thought about it from that angle. But LeBron absolutely thought about it from that angle.
Hey, speaking of Tom Brady, did you hear about this whole thing with, I think it was Bart Scott breaking up the whole Tom Brady, Peyton Manning discussion again? Did you hear about any of that?
Oh, to say it again?
Bart Scott, the former New York Jet, he was talking about this. He was talking about Brady versus Manning, and he was saying that Manning was actually more difficult to play against because he was able to dissect what the defense was doing before they actually started the play. Basically, that's what I gathered from it. Did you hear about any of that?
I didn't hear about it, but I would say this. Okay, when it comes to preset snaps, right?
Yes.
Isn't Peyton Manning night and day was better than Tom Brady making those deciphers. He's doing Omaha. He's doing all of these gestures. He's moving people here and there. So he make those pre-snap reads to a crisp. The Brady and the Patriots were a little bit more tougher, right? So they had a better defense, a harder defense. Sometimes they were more equipped playing to the cold elements, whereas Peyton Manning wasn't. So I could see Bart saying that, but also Bart, if my memory serves me correct, Bart's beaten Peyton Manning quite a few times, so I don't know if it's like a little tongue-in-cheek that he was doing or if, I don't know. I don't know what his agenda was going there, but I mean, preset snaps, yeah, Peyton Manning was better, but that's really about it, and those are 1 and 2 ever, so I mean, yeah okay, yeah.
I mean, hey, Brady's getting better now at reading pre-snap reads. Like, hey, the defense is doing this. So not Julian Edelman, Chris Godwin, do a hot route and do a hook route instead of a crossing route type thing.
They've seen everything you could ever throw at them. So it's just repetition at each year you've seen every possible scenario that could be thrown at you. So Tom Brady has seen it. Now we're talking about when them two were playing at their pinnacle. It probably was more that Peyton Manning has seen prior to Tom Brady. So, it that's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's not that big of a attribute to have over the other because you both still are 1 and 2. If you play John Madden, at the time, Peyton Manning was a 99, Tom Brady was a 98. It might have been from that one specific attribute, but they still were the 2 top quarterbacks in the league. So, the older you get, the more you see, the better you can respond to it. And if you want to see that into full force, watch this year. Watch how Justin Herbert, he's seen more different scenarios, so he's going to add that to his tool belt. And each year that he's able to play, he's going to get that much better. So, I would line that to that more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder what type of defense the Browns are going to play when the Buccaneers come to town in Week 12 against Brady.
It's tough. Yeah, that's tough, man. But hey, I'm ready for it.
What do you think? Is Gronk going to be playing in that game, or do you think this is a legitimate retirement by Gronk?
It's so hard to read. I think it's a pre-snap retirement. So we'll call it a retirement play. Let's see what the defense throws at me. But no, seriously, I think they're taking away from the word retirement. Retirement used to mean something, but now it's more of I'm gonna retire, and then you'll see me back in 6 months or 6 weeks. And I don't think we've seen the last of Gronk, honestly. I think he's one of those guys that he has so much chemistry with Tom Brady. He could technically come back in the half of the season and still be good with Tom Brady because he knows his expectations. He knows where the ball placement should be at. He knows the plays. So he doesn't need mini camp, training camp, more like a rookie would need it to get on board with Tom Brady. So I think he might be back by the time we play him.
Yeah, I don't think this is a legitimate retirement by Gronk. I think maybe this is just even like a PR stunt by the Buccaneers.
Could
like
be.
Maybe one of the higher up people was like, just say you're retired so that you don't have to worry about coming to training camp and all the mandatory mini camp and whatnot. And then just come back in October, November, and you'll be fine.
One of the HR guys like, hey, technically, if you retire, you don't have to go to training camp. If you don't have to go to training camp, your money won't be docked. So let's run this by Tom Brady's guys and let's come up with a plan.
Yeah. Just like Brady's retirement, which I never believed for a minute. I thought that was totally false.
A sham.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, it's Brady and Gronk that have these 2 sham retirements because, yeah, they're not with the Patriots anymore, but they're still associated with the Patriots. And you know what's always going to follow the New England Patriots. Oh, they cheated here, they cheated there, and all this and that, Deflategate, Spygate, whatever other accusation you want to throw at them. The whole Robert Kraft thing, whatever. Basically the Patriots are just mired in controversy. So,
now, I was going to say one thing that I have heard is a possibility of Gronk getting into coaching, which that's interesting, right? Because one thing that the Patriots lack is that office of mastermind. Okay,
that's right.
Yeah,
they're not doing they're not going with a traditional offensive coordinator position to replace Josh McDaniels. They brought back Joe Judge and they brought back Matt Patricia, and they're gonna run the
It's weird.
offense, or it's something.
Patricia was a defensive guy too, wasn't he?
Yes. So what the hell? Like, I said a few episodes back, I think the Patriots are going to make the playoffs because I don't want to just count out Bill, but I've been thinking about it more, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're not going to have an official offensive coordinator? Like,
it's bizarre.
Now I'm not so sure the Patriots are actually going to make the playoffs. I'm like leaning more towards keeping them out, and I'd have to think about who I would put in there, because I think right now I would have Miami and Buffalo, Cincinnati and Baltimore, because I'm not putting the Browns in the playoffs this year, because I think Deshaun Watson's going to be suspended for a large majority of this season, even with him settling 20 of the 24 cases. Even still, I think Deshaun Watson gets suspended for 8 to 10 games, although I could see the league pushing for a full year. So I think the Browns missed the playoffs as a result. And then from the AFC West, I think Denver wins the division, but I could see the Raiders and Chargers fighting it out, and Kansas City misses. So,
and it took you a while to come on board with the Kansas City missing it.
No, I was with it.
Okay.
I said it before you did.
Okay, just making sure. So just like your girlfriend, she'll ask you a question one day and then wait 3 weeks to ask you the same question, see if it's going to be still consistent.
Yes.
But no, right. I understand though about the Browns, how you delayed on, what is the Browns going to do because of the whole fiasco that's circulating in Berea with Deshaun Watson, and it's a mess. Now he finally settled for 20 of those cases. I've been pushing for him to do this a month ago, because if you settle, then the league will hand out their suspension and we could be over with this. But there's still 4 cases he hasn't settled on. I'm not sure why. Those 4 cases could potentially have this whole cloud hanging over the case for longer than it should be. And it just seemed like we're just waiting to see. So if these 4 cases go, the entire procedure of going to court, each individual trial going to court, rather, we're looking at a possible 2 years of this cloud hanging over. And yeah, you got 20 of those out the way, but these other 4, that could pin and linger even longer. So I'm not sure why he didn't settle on all 24, but it seems like he's finally starting to come around to it and hurry up and get this over with, so the league can hand down their suspension, and then we as fans could know where our team stands at.
Right, because it does feel like since we acquired Deshaun Watson, we've been like left out in the dark, like, because we haven't heard anything from the league about when if and or when a possible suspension is going to come down, because who knows, maybe miraculously they don't suspend him and just fine him like several hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever. That's highly unlikely, but maybe a miracle will happen and that's all they'll do. Highly unlikely.
But people got to understand, yes, it may seem like the fans don't have a right to know, but that's not true, because we're season ticket holders. We have a right to know these things. We keep the revenue circulating in Berea. We pay these salaries. The fans have a right to know as well. So everybody that's unfortunately affected by this whole scenario needs to know, and we need to know soon because training camp is right around the corner.
That is true.
Like, perfect question. Do they? Let's hypothetically say let's say it's still the same come, let's say later July, right? Do he play in preseason games? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. This whole situation is so like confusing, complex, and whatever other word you want to throw in there, insert word here. But it's just like, what I don't understand is, how has the league not come to a decision yet? Like, it feels like this whole situation has been going on for almost 2 years now. Because
yes,
you could even going back to last season, essentially he was suspended without officially being suspended, because the Texans said, okay, just sit on the bench the whole year.
We pay him a salary.
Right. The only difference is, let's say the league suspended him for the whole year, he would not be getting paid. Whereas last year, when he was suspended, he still was getting paid from the Texans.
And it's the crazy part. If the league was to hand down a suspension, the league knows how the contract is broken down with the Browns. The bulk of his money is going to get paid in season 2 and 3. So I believe he's only going to probably get paid like $10 million, if that, for the first season, because of this looming legal battles that he has going on. So if the league suspends him this season, he's going to still get his money starting next year. So, like, what is the league really going to do about this? I think the longer the league waits, the longer this gets murkier and dirtier.
Yeah, because you could look at this multiple ways. You could say, okay, like I said, he was suspended already. Even though, like I said, the Texans still pay them. Whereas if the Browns, or if he does get suspended for the full season, it would be without pay. But still, like, the Browns knew a suspension of some sort was going to come down. That's why they set up his contract to be that he only gets $1 million this year, and the $229 million comes in next year to make it the full $230. If I remember correctly, anyway. But yeah, this whole thing, we need to know what's going to happen. Like,
we do.
Yeah. Because not only does it affect the Browns season, but it could affect the rest of the AFC North, and even the AFC for that matter. Because, right?
Yes, absolutely. It has an impact. It changes the course of all the AFC North, all of the AFC in general. It's a ripple effect that everyone's going to have to be impacted by. So we need to answer sooner than later.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Like, think about it. You expect Baltimore to be as injury-riddled this season as they were last year? No.
Absolutely not.
I know the Steelers aren't going to have Big Ben, but the Steelers are still the Steelers until they're not. Like, since Mike Tomlin's been there, they haven't had a losing season. Actually, I don't think they've had a losing season since 2003. So, credit where credit is due. And they've whooped our ass just about every time. So, not sure how much of a rivalry Browns-Steelers actually is. We can talk about that on a different day. But anyway, like, the Bengals, they were just a few minutes away from winning the Super Bowl. And on that last play, if Joe Burrow's offensive line gave him a few more seconds, he had a wide open receiver down the field that he could have hit for the game-winning touchdown. So, yeah, this has major implications on the AFC North. And like you said, it has major implications on the rest of the AFC. Because with Deshaun Watson, the Browns are viewed as a AFC contender, maybe a Super Bowl contender. I'm not ready to put them in the Super Bowl conversation, but I think some people would if Deshaun Watson plays.
Mm-hmm.
But
they got the talent, man. They can, but it's so much other stuff that don't have nothing to do with football that's bothering this team that you start to wonder if that's going to get to everybody's heads in the locker room. So
right,
Baker Mayfield, like it's a lot.
Yeah, and what happens if Baker Mayfield is still on the roster when training camp comes around?
Exactly.
I don't think he will be. I think the Browns will trade him. I'll say the Browns will trade him by the end of this month. I'll put that prediction out here. By the end of June, the Cleveland Browns will trade Baker Mayfield.
Interesting. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Okay, I will hold myself to that.
Any people that's, I guess, leading to potentially get his services in your assessments?
I've heard it sounds like Seattle and Carolina are the two main destinations. I will say he gets traded to the Carolina Panthers.
To the Panthers. Who do you think he's a better fit for, though? In all honesty, like,
I kind of want to say Seattle, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, I think Seattle. I think Seattle. Now, offensive line is weak in Seattle. I think that's going to expose him more. The offensive line in Carolina is a little better, but they don't have the weapons that Seattle does. TK Metcalf, TJ Lockett. They have the talent there, but man, it's just that offensive line. And I know I bark on it a lot, but you're going to see that come to full fruition because he can't ad-lib like how Russell Wilson would. Russell Wilson was able to buy time, duck a sack here, duck a sack there, still throw a bomb. Baker Mayfield, he doesn't have the same tangibles. So I think that's going to create some issues. And I can absolutely see Metcalf being frustrated with him on the sidelines and potentially blowing up on him. So we'll see, but they got more talent, though.
That's interesting because I would also say, I also said Seattle, but I think not having the improvisation of Russell Wilson, that could actually help DK Metcalf.
Why you say that?
At times it was like with the play breaking down so much, like Russell Wilson's improvisation skills may have caused the defenders to go more towards DK. So they're like, oh, they're Russell's improvising. He's probably going to look for DK. We'll cheat an extra defender. And I get it, like improvisation could buy the wide receiver more time. I understand that argument. But it also, I could see improvisation getting frustrating for the wide receiver. Like, dude, can we just run a set play instead of having to rely on your improv every time? So maybe he'll like that more about Baker. I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's very weird. And then, one of the knocks about Metcalf coming out the draft was that he wasn't a good route runner. He was a burner. So throw a bomb, he may beat you because he runs damn near 4.2. But running those stop routes or slants and his timing, that wasn't really his strong forte. Whereas Lockett, that's one of his. He's quick, but he could run routes good. So with Baker, you kind of need to have both of those skill sets if you're a wide receiver because he throws some erratic throws from time to time, and his timing is a tad bit off at times. But he does have a cannon, and he can't let the ball go. And Metcalf and Lockett, they both can burn you. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, like you said.
Yeah, it's the Browns are the Browns, to summarize them right now, wait and see. That's what they are right now. The whole thing is wait and see. Because the Deshaun Watson situation, wait and see. The Baker Mayfield situation, wait and see. What this whole stadium situation that was exploding like wildfire over the weekend, wait and see. Like, the Browns are now denying that. Yeah. No, we're not in Philadelphia. and the process has not worked for the 76ers at all. No.
We're from Milwaukee, though.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, the process worked for Golden State. What the heck? We didn't start the show with the Warriors. What the hell?
Oh man, yeah, we gotta unfortunately tip our hats to those guys. They put it off.
Fourth title in 8 years. The third time they've won the championship on the road. Like, that says something.
That's big. That's telling.
The only time they've won a championship at home in the past 8 years is 2017 when they beat the Cavs in 5 games. Other than that, 2015, they won in Cleveland. 2018, they won in Cleveland. And now 2022, they won in Boston.
And also, they've won a ring before KD. They won a ring or 2 rings with KD, and they've won one without KD.
Yes. And now Steph Curry has his finals MVP. And people are now putting him in top 10 all time.
Are you coming aboard yet with this?
No.
What do you got to do now? Like they said, that was their slogan. Now what they got to do?
What more does Steph need to do to get in the top 10 for you? Win another championship? Get another finals MVP? What?
He already in. I've been said that. He's been in. I actually said that without him, he didn't have to win MVP, the Finals MVP to validate it because I already had him top 10, and I know there was a lot of people out there that would say that he has to do this. I didn't understand it, but he's done it now. He's absolutely a transcendent player. He's changed the way and revolutionized the way we play basketball. He's one of the most selfless players we've seen of our modern time. And he lays it all on the court every time he's out there. You always got to account for him. He was going back and forth with Boston's fans, like he was just giving it to them, like pointing at the rings and just torching them. And we knew he was a little shaken up because he got injured not too long ago. But Boston could not give it. They had no answer for him, man. And I think he put the world on notice. Like, what more do you want from me? Like, what else do I have to do to show to y'all that I belong in the top 10?
Yeah. I feel like, here's how I'll say it. I talked about this on So What's the Catch yesterday. The way I have it split up into 2 lists. You have the top 10 all time, and then you have, at least for me, the top 10 players that I've in my lifetime. because I didn't get to watch Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, and all those guys. I know I can go back and watch them on YouTube and all that. But I feel like that's not the same as like being able to say, yeah, I watched this live when Larry Bird did this, or I watched it live when Magic Johnson did XYZ. You know what I mean?
I feel you. Yeah, I had the privilege of, with everybody except for Oscar Robertson. That was way before my time, and Will Chamberlain. But I had a chance to witness and watch generations and the growth of the game in general. And everybody I've seen, Steph definitely is in the top 10. And I know that sounds hard to grasp, but he shot his threes is better than Larry Bird's. And Larry Bird, I thought at the time as a kid growing up, man, can nobody shoot the ball like him? Larry Bird had that 3 range. He was tough. He could get those crazy, I don't know how you got that shot off shots. He played defense to a degree. And he just was like a transcendent player at the time. But he was tall. This kid right here, man, I haven't seen nobody shoot the ball like this man. And I'm telling you, he's in a rare class for sure.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left, or actually less than 10. So you want to do some therapy Thursday?
I do got a therapy, something I want to get off my chest though. And we alluded to a little earlier with Gronk, right? And it's this whole retirement. I remember back in the day when retirement used to mean something. Anytime you heard that word, I'm a retired, we believed you. Your job believed you. They throw a party for you. Your 401k, they believed you because they cut you a check, right? But now we say we're going to retire, and we use that as a sham retirement just to give us a extra time to think about, do we want to get traded? Do we want to sign with a team? We don't even use the word the correct way no more. So I think a way that the league can eliminate this is the moment that you say you retire, and I actually heard someone talking about this. The moment you retire, that's when you go on the clock to become an Hall of Famer, because there's a certain time period you have to wait after you retire before you're eligible for Hall of Fame ramifications, which I believe is 5 years in some leagues. So you retire, you're on the clock. But if you come back from retirement, we're going to add an extra 3 years on top of the clock retirement. So if Grant, let's say, was to retire this year, okay, you're on the clock 5 years. But if he comes back, when you retire again, which probably will be next season, knowing these guys, now you won't be eligible for 8 years after next year, because it's like the whole word, it doesn't mean the same no more, man. And I'm tired of players using this just as a way of getting out of a situation or waiting for a situation to change. So if you want to change this and you want to make it really mean something, add some ramifications on it, add some penalties. Double up the 401k penalty. Do something, but this got to stop, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, too many players are going, yeah, I'm going to retire. And then in 6 months, they're like, nah, I'm going to come back. Or like what Brady did. I'm retired. Like, less than a month later. You know what? No, I'm going to come back. And there are many people who think Brady retired just so the Buccaneers would get rid of or would move Bruce Arians off the sideline.
Yeah, it's a lot of backdoor maneuvering going on during these retirements. And the only way to eliminate that is to make sure that the player understands, well, if you retire, you're not going into the Hall of Fame for a longer period of time. So keep playing this game if you want to, and we'll keep tacking on the time alongside with it.
I like it. So, next weekend is 4th of July weekend. I have a little bit of a surprise plan for that over the weekend, but I'm not going to say any more about it. I will save that for next week's show. You'll probably hear about it on So What's the Catch on Wednesday, but I'll still talk about it here anyway because the Sports Generals deserves to have the same treatment.
The fans get to know. Yeah. Fans still deserve the right to know.
Exactly. Hey, tying it back to what we were talking about earlier. Stop leaving fans in the dark. Yes, that's right there. There you go. That's right, Therapy Thursday. Stop leaving fans in the dark. There's a reason we watch games. There's a reason, like, we follow ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NBA, the NBA app, NFL app, whatever. However you get your news. There's a reason we follow essentially 365 days a year. Stop leaving us in the dark. Like,
absolutely.
We need to know. Like, I
agree.
Is Deshaun Watson going to be suspended or not? If he is going to be suspended, how long is he going to be suspended? For example, was this whole stadium thing legit? Or was it just a ruse? That type of thing.
Stop playing with the fans.
Yeah. Because if you keep playing with the fans, do you really think that we're going to pay our hard-earned money that we earn, working all week to buy a ticket and go, you know what? I'm going to go see this game. I don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to play. So I don't know if I'm going to go to this game or not. Like, fans don't deserve that.
They don't. So be nice.
Exactly. Be nice. So make sure you subscribe to the Sports Generals on YouTube. Subscribe to Manalytics as usual. Subscribe to Unger to the Max, and we will see you next week on the Sports Generals.
Peace, y'all.